Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Dr. Jim Burns.
Welcome to New Life Live. I'm so excited you're with us, and I'm also excited that Dr. Jill Hubbard is in the house right here.
Yes.
Sitting next to me. And J.J. West, wow. Got to be on a program with him just recently, and he's amazing. J.J., welcome. I'm taking notes on you, buddy.
A new fave.
Absolutely.
It's another 3J day.
It's yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, it's really good to have you all with us, but it's especially good to have you listeners with us. And it's going to be a great program today. It's always a great program here at New Life Live. Jill, what's on your mind today?
Well, I have been thinking a lot about kind of the seasons of life. And I know last time we were on, Steve did a New Life moment about seasons of life. And have you ever noticed that when something happens, it seems like it starts happening to a lot of people, and it seems like just even situationally, we go through seasons, right? Like seasons where people lose people, right? Where there's a death and then there's another one. I know I have several people right now who have lost significant people, or there's diagnoses, and it seems to okay, a lot of people are suffering with that. And I think about, so I always think about Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8, where it talks about that there is an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for everything under heaven, right? A time to give birth, a time to die, a time to plant, time to uproot what is planted. And so I think about that as our callers call in. Mm-hmm. They're all going through some season. Right. And what's important to remember is that seasons don't last forever. Right. Right? Now, sometimes we blur our seasons, and it feels like some seasons go on really long, right? And others are much shorter. And I always remember Dave Stoop talking about, just wait, Jill, as you get older, the seasons go much, much faster, right? So I think it's important, one, to reflect when we're going through something. Okay, this is a season. And is it a season maybe, am I at a place where I could dig in a little more deeply so that I'm not bringing those past seasons with me? Yeah. Or as we're looking at other people in our lives, it's also important to look at the fact that people are in different stages developmentally, right? And so we get a lot of parents calling about kids. And it's really unsettling, when you're at an age where you're trying to maybe give back to society, right? Or kind of reaping what you've sowed. And your kids are up in arms and going crazy and can't seem to figure life out, right? It's important to look at and say, okay, what is their stage of life and the season they're in? And can I remember what it was like for me? What were my unanswered questions? And what could my parents not have told me that I needed to do and figure out for myself? And then to give them the room to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's so good that you said that about kids, because I said to a woman last Friday, I said, well, do you remember what it was like when you were 15?
No, I know. I have to say that to myself a lot.
It's a great thing to do if you're a parent,
yes.
Especially if you're a parent of a child.
Mm-hmm.
So key. Well, that's awesome. Embrace the season, but don't bring all these other seasons into it, too.
Right. And realize that this season won't last forever.
Yeah,
so.
very, very good. Well, we'll be right back. J.J. West with us today, all the way from Florida, and Dr. Jill Hubbard. I'm Jim Burns, filling in for Stephen Arterburn. And again, we're so happy that you're with us today on this very special day, and we're going to be taking calls, and we're excited about you giving us a call and being able to have the kind of conversation that might just be the breakthrough conversation that you need, and, well, I'm going to pray that it is. Anyway, we're so glad you're calling. We'll take calls in just a moment. We'll be right back. New Life Live.
Some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. They're just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Every Man's Battle Intensive can help.
After 7 years, he just, in one weekend, came back a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
He said this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle Workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, April 13th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
I'm Steve Arterburn with a New Life Moment. Some of my best childhood memories were generated in the lake house built by my grandfather and his 5 sons. When we outgrew the cabin, a new addition was built. It, however, had one major flaw. My grandfather hadn't calculated into the ceiling height the fact that the new addition had a foundation that was about 12 inches higher than the original cabin. So the ceiling in the new area was a foot shorter than it was supposed to be. You felt like you needed to hunch over, and if you weren't looking, you'd walk right into the ceiling fan and injure yourself for life. All because my stubborn grandfather wouldn't listen to his boys, who told him from the beginning that something was very wrong with the plans. Is stubbornness affecting your relationships? For some tips on how you can lovingly relate to others and stop having to hunch over all the time, visit newlife.com. I'm Stephen Arterburn, and thanks for listening to this New Life Moment.
Good input by Steve.
Yeah, stubbornness.
Yes.
None of us struggle with
none of us
that.
are stubborn, of course. and none of our listeners, of course, are stubborn either. And again, what Steve said was you can go to New Life Live and you can go to our website, and there are so many great tips and videos. I know Jill and I just did a really cool video that's on the website. You can get a lot of great info. And, of course, you can also subscribe to the podcast, get the app. There's so many ways for you to get to us. And don't hesitate to give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can even, there's a new thing that I just heard about, Jill, that now people can call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, and they can actually leave a message, and it's another way of, they can ask the question.
Oh, wow.
If they don't want to be on the air.
Great.
Somebody said it was.
Or if they have the question when we're not on the air.
We're not on the air. That's
right?
Totally
that
good.
That would be awesome.
So very, very good. I love that, and I love all the ways that New Life is helping and actually transforming life. So it's so good. And again, JJ, you're so much a part of that. And Jill, you are so much a part of it with all the intensives and the wonderful things. So anyway, I said 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and since I'm the rookie here host, it's 888-NEW-LIFE. You're going to be calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and wondering why you aren't on that voice line, and it's 1-888.
To leave your question.
To leave those questions.
The verbal question. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry. Yeah. I appreciate that. Well, we're going to go directly to Joe. He's in Carmel, California, and he watches us on YouTube. I mean, that's why you dress so nice, Jill, because you're on YouTube.
What?
And you always dress nice. And I'm not in a T-shirt today, but usually I am. Anyway, Joe, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Jill always looks nice, and it's really nice.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
And I really appreciate the time. I have a question about when you, I guess it kind of combines the serenity prayer and God's timing and trust, but the idea that, not everybody's life goes like they say on TV or in the movies, and the idea that spent a lot of time just getting knocked down, getting back up, and I guess what do you do when you're almost afraid? I guess a lot of it is, I've read the book Emotional Freedom. I'm wondering, most of my life I struggled with emotions, and then as I've gotten older and I'm dealing with injuries now, and I'd like to have the body that I had when I was younger and just be where I am at emotionally now. But the idea that life doesn't wait, and I'm just wondering, when you do feel alone, and the healthier you get, and you tend to drop, I guess, like, it seems like the more I learn, the less I know, the more I grow, the harder it is to connect or to find, not only to give love like Jesus, but to find it from others, because I know that a lot of times when you give a lot of yourself and you're giving the support, a lot of that time it's usually the very support that you'd like in your own life. At least that's what I recognize in my own, and I found it very difficult to, I haven't given up, but I keep asking for that. But then there's opportunity costs, as it's taken a lot of time, and I have a online counselor, thank God, because he moved, and I can still talk with him. And I've had to separate from my mother before she passed, and I'd given care to both my parents, even though my mother was the nurse. And as soon as after she left, I went right to my father and got through that, and kept them going to the very end. And then here I am. Well, I think I've shared my story before in here. Jill might remember, but basically, I've kind of been caregiving to some degree since I was 13, when I almost lost my mother. And then, but I've found that I've had to separate. Like I guess it was yesterday's last caller, they were talking about boundaries and things, and how got to a point in my family where it was just so toxic, or at least a group that's gaslit the rest of my father's side of the family, and any support I get. So it's almost become, I've gotten kind of stuck, because I feel like damned if I do and damned if I don't.
If you had a question, and Joe, if you had a question for us, what would it be? I feel like we have a good, clear picture on what you're talking about, and appreciate you actually bringing up the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's a great prayer.
Well, and can I just say first, Joe, I'm hearing just this kind of reflection and a little bit of angst and maybe disappointment that life is difficult, right? And at different stages, we have limitations, like at every stage. And you're talking about working through things emotionally, but then physically you're struggling, right? Just when you're finally feeling better, then you're struggling physically, and how there's always these limitations, I think, in some ways to remind us that we need Jesus, right? And our dependence is on him, and we never fully arrive. And that also, as we grow in life, not everyone chooses to grow. And so whatever you have had in your life, if you haven't chosen to deal with it, to grow, to develop yourself, it will get worse. And so that's where I think you start to see the gap. And I have clients who talk about this. It's like it gets lonelier the healthier they get in some ways, right? Because some people choose to just kind of let their life kind of slide and regress instead of really trying to grow and push towards that finish line and doing it well. And so there are relationships that go by the wayside, or you just don't invest in as much because they're not growth oriented. And you become more selective.
Yeah, and you're all really young, but the idea that as you get older,
Thank you, Joe.
Seems to go.
I thought you watched us on YouTube here.
Yeah, Joe, I thought you were watching us. I used to be the young one here.
Made me turn it off so I could wait for the call.
Yeah, okay.
So pardon me, I guess my memory lapsed. But
it's a compliment, and especially with Jill.
I don't want to take anything away from that. Okay, back to the point. What happens though is in the struggle to grow and to fight and continue to, and I realized too. I remember the idea, too, that God won't always take all your character flaws away or whatever because he wants to remind you that you do need him. But
Right.
I'm at the point now where I don't need any more reminders. I've pretty much been humbled and taken down to the point.
I got the message, God. I got the message.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. And, at points
Yeah.
where, okay, did he get my name wrong? It really is just J-O-E, not J-O-B. And I'm like, because all you have to do is watch the news or read the Bible if you start to feel sorry for yourself because you realize, or even just what Jesus went through, it's just an amazing gift. And I understand that and thankful for that. Yeah. But just even like in my Bible study fellowship or my fellowships, it's so hard to connect, especially in the men groups. It's really difficult. Like I envy the women, like especially after COVID, how so many women came back, but a lot of the men got distracted and moved on, or churches collapsed or different things. But getting back to my stuff, I just want to know, sometimes reaching out for help or people or just human nature. Like I've been hurt by people, especially in the faith. Like it's so much easier to be judgmental and obviously easier to see the faults in others than it is in yourself. But the idea that when you're crying and hurting, like I fell apart in my men's group a while back, and everybody was concerned at first and everything, but then nothing came out of that, and then I ended back alone and just struggling because everyone is, it's almost like they're looking for a reason. Everybody's so busy and caught up in, like they say, no one's for you or against you. They're just caught up in their own stuff.
JJ, what do you think? Why don't you comment on it?
I hear, Joe, so much in your story of suffering, pain, and feeling overlooked and forgotten. And I'm so sorry that that's been the majority of your experience. And the truth is, in the church, we say this at the Every Man's Battle Intensive, we don't really have a good theology for slow-moving miracles. Like we're all about the Damascus Road events, right? the bright shining light, knocked on your butt, get up, and everything's changed. But the stories of Joseph and Job where there's this long suffering, there's these, incredibly long seasons of pain and heartache and disenfranchisement and broken relationships, and we go, "Oh, that's too difficult. I want it quicker. I want it faster. I want to see the redemption now, rather than waiting." And what's so interesting, because you did reference the Serenity Prayer, and we're all very familiar with that first third because it's on the coins, and we memorize that part. But it's that second and third that there's some real meat there, right? Because it's in that second third where it says accepting hardship as the pathway to peace. That God designed. He's not the author of hardship, but he designed it where it's through that pathway of hardship that I experience peace, that I learn peace, and that I learn to take, as Jesus did, this sinful world not as I would have it, but as it is. Right? There's a powerful truth in that flies in the face of that. Please take away the pain instantly. Please take away the heartache instantly. Make this better now. And I get that. I mean, man, when I'm suffering, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be patient, and I certainly don't want to be told to be patient. So I'm on thin ice here telling you that, right? I don't want to hear that. But what I do need to be reminded of is that God is the one who comes and inhabits my suffering. Right? He's the suffering servant. And so he comes and he sits with me in my pain. He's with me in my sorrow. He's with me in my loss. He's with me in the heartache of seeing, people show up for a little while but then fade away. He's with me in all of that. And that's what teaches me peace. That's what teaches me how to have serenity. That's what teaches me how to grow. That's what teaches me to more and more cling to him. And so as much as I am sad that you've experienced so much sorrow, and I wish it wasn't the case for you, Joe, what I am grateful for is that you know a God who walks with you through your pain, who walks with you through your heartache, and never, ever leaves you. He's not like fair weather friends. He never leaves you. He never forsakes you. He's the one who's with you always to the end.
JJ, that is so good, and we're going to come back and get Jill's perspective after the break. Joe, I hope that's helpful. I was taking notes on JJ. That was good stuff. And I know, you said you're a caregiver, and when you're a caregiver, a lot of times caregivers need people to love and care for them. And I'm sorry that's not happening in your men's group. Maybe it's going to be an individual, or you're going to have to keep leaning into those replenishing relationships. I also like what JJ said when he talked about instant. We want everything changing in an instant. I just heard this good thing, Easter is a season and not just a day, because some miracles take time, and that's what we're talking about today. And we are talking about miracles, and we're so glad that you can join us. And we'll be back. We're going to keep on talking with Joe, and then if you're holding, we'll be with you. I'm Jim Burns. Don't go away.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hit with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would have getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Burns, filling in for Steve Arterburn today. We're with JJ West and Jill Hubbard. Jill, JJ gave some great input.
Oh, I know. JJ, that was great.
Yeah.
But so I just wanted to add just a little bit more for Joe in that his disappointment is real, in that I think in groups of men, depending on what you're hoping for, what your expectation is, you can be let down a lot, because a lot of men, I mean women too, but aren't well versed in the long suffering. They want to do the quick fix answers, right? And a lot of men aren't as comfortable with their pain or with emotion. And so, but I would challenge you to not give up and just understand that these people have limitations. You're a natural caregiver, so probably it's hard because you could easily care for them, like you said, in the ways that you are wanting to be cared for. And that's good, and do some of that within reason. But I'm also thinking maybe, and because you mentioned the serenity prayer, maybe you already do this, often 12-step groups have people that can endure a bit more. Right? They're at least admitting their shortcomings, their pain, and it's a group where you can sit in it and they don't tire of hearing what you're talking about. Yeah. And in that, and getting sponsors, a sponsor is also a great addition to also your therapist. It's someone that you can call at random times, right? And get some encouragement from and some containment. And so maybe seeking out, think of the group that fits you best, right? Maybe it's for caregivers, maybe it's a codependency group. Or, there's in life recovery or celebrate recovery, there's all different kinds of groups.
And when you're talking about a sponsor, that's a really good idea because the sponsor is there. I mean, they feel that's part of their calling as well.
Right.
So that's a really
that's their role,
good
and
idea.
it's designed, right?
Yeah.
I'm the sponsor, you're the sponsee.
Yeah.
So it's a place where you can go and receive and not just always be the caregiver.
And I appreciate you bringing up the 12 steps or celebrate recovery or any of those. My small group, none of us have an addiction like you would go to for, Alcoholics Anonymous. But, we went through the 12 steps. It was one of the most powerful spiritual experiences I have ever had.
Yes.
And it was beautiful. It was
no,
a beautiful
I've done a lot of, kind of off-Broadway 12 steps, right? They aren't the main ones. We kind of create our own topic and we go, okay, we're doing the 12 steps, around ADHD or around, random things.
Yeah. But anyway, that's great. Joe, I hope that's been helpful. And by the way, thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for saying nice things about Jill. And anyway, we're grateful that you are a part of the New Life family because I know you are. I want to give you a book by Steve Arterburn called The 1 Year Bible for Men. That's been really helpful for me personally. In 1983, I started reading the 1 Year Bible. And, I do it every year. And it gives me comfort when I'm bugged at somebody, that Bible's going to come through. And I'm always amazed at what scriptures jump out each day. It takes discipline, but it really is worth it. So we're going to throw that at you. And we're going to take another call here. We're going to take Lisa in San Francisco. Lisa, welcome to the show. How can we help you?
Hi. Thank you for having me. I appreciate all of you. I actually walked away from a relationship that was it was emotional bondage. It was toxic. It was full of lies, deceit. He was admitted mama's boy. He told his friends everything, his family, everything, every inch of, if we went to the store, they knew we went to the store. Later, it seeped out that he was doing some gambling. And my question is, because I have a friend that kind of went through the same thing. But however, my question is, what is wrong with me that I would attract this type of person? And I know you guys said earlier, I heard someone say that when you are safe and secure, you will attract safe and secure people. So my question is, what do I do to become safe and secure? Because this whole situation was it was a long road, but it was amazing how things just seeped out. But none of this I saw from the beginning. So I'm like, what is it about me?
Lisa, that's a great question to be asking. It's a growth question. And also, I want to congratulate you on walking away from an unsafe relationship. So you've already started that process, and then to ask, hey, what about me? How can I learn? And I'm going to throw it to Jill, and then we'll take JJ. Jill, go ahead.
Well, Lisa, we attract to people in kind of, it's almost like magnetic or radar, right? We unconsciously attract to certain types of people. And it often has to do with things either that we lack or that are unresolved from earlier times in life. So we can even think that we're choosing someone the exact opposite, but it's same person in a different outfit, right? And so it can be tricky that way, but it means that we have some work to do at resolving some of those things.
Yeah, and let's hold that thought, and then we'll come back to you, Lisa, after the break. And by the way, on April 13th, we have Every Man's Battle Intensive. It's going to be online, and if you go to the website and look at the event page, you'll actually see videos of JJ, who's with us today. You'll hear from past attendees, articles, and a link to the podcast. There's actually a Every Man's Battle podcast that's incredible and wonderful. We want to invite you to that. But when we come back, we're going to deal with Lisa, and so many of us need the courage to walk away from unsafe relationships, and also we need to know what's going on with ourselves, and so she's asking the right questions. So we'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to New Life Live. I'm Jim Burns, filling in today for Stephen Arterburn. We're thrilled you're with us. We'll be right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery. And one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Burns, filling in for Steve Arterburn today. We're with Dr. Jill Hubbard, J.J. West, and this has been a great conversation. And Lisa, I think she's bringing up some great thoughts because she had the courage to walk away from a unsafe relationship.
Yeah.
But then she also is saying, so what can I do? How can I learn from this? I think sometimes people are in relationships and then they go into the next relationship and then the next, and they never make a change in their own life.
Well, right, because they believe the myth that I just haven't found the right person yet.
Right,
and if I find that right person, it's just going to all click.
Yes.
And we forget to work on the fact that we need to be the right person. And I think, Lisa, that's kind of what you're asking. How do I become safe and secure so that that's what I attract? Because, yes, when we're healthier and when we know what our issues are, right, we actively don't choose that and we attract someone that's safer and more secure. And so already in your growth, Lisa, the recognizing and walking away is a total growth step, right? And the goal over time is to walk away sooner, right? And then to eventually not pick what you know to be as toxic, to be able to see those red flags. But you do that by working on yourself. Even in Henry's, I think it's Henry's book, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping, he ultimately points you back to yourself and working on your issues. So you may think, but I'm always working on my issues. I've been working on them forever. Great. And then continue to do so. And maybe, be in relationships where people are truthful and honest. That may be a therapy relationship, best friends, and where you can run by your dating with people. I always worry when I'm going to a wedding and I've never met the person's, fiance, right? And if they're a close friend, that's kind of a red flag. Why don't we know who you're about to marry? Or why, haven't we had some input in your life?
Well, that's one of the red flags. I wrote a book on getting ready for marriage.
Yeah.
And one of the red flags is, what does the community think? And if the community doesn't know, or the community hasn't spoken into it, or if they've spoken negatively about it, you got to really listen to your community. So that's one thing that Lisa can do, definitely is listen to her community, asking some of the same questions that she's asking us today. Yeah. Yeah, JJ?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this because we're all sharing the same brain this afternoon.
Yes, we are.
Wonderful. Because I wrote down the exact same things, right? Enlist the help of others. That might be enlisting the help of a counselor to help me look at what are the things in me that might be broken that I'm trying to resolve in unhealthy relationships. But also, yes, God gives us wisdom in the counsel of many. That's what Scripture tells us. There's great wisdom in the counsel of many. And so do I have other people who are giving me input on my life? Who I choose to date, what they're like, right? Like, I want to get more impact because none of us on our own can fully know the mind of Christ. But Colossians tells us that we corporately have the mind of Christ. And so I want to include other people in that process. That's so important. And to look at not just the behaviors that you found to be unappealing in this previous relationship. Okay, he gambled and he talked to everyone about our things that were going on in our relationship. He was a mama's boy. But look at what is underneath that. What's the way that he does relationship? Okay, he overshares things that he should keep to himself, and he hides things that he should reveal. Right? He's not honest in the things that he should be honest about, like his gambling, but he's too honest about the things that really should be kept between the two of us, should be kept confidential, right? So there's a pattern of relating that you want to look at, not just the behavior itself.
That's really good.
And then to also look at, okay, so what was going on in my life and in the relationship that I didn't see the red flags? You said I didn't notice any of this until after the fact. But oftentimes those red flags are there. They may not be in the same degree that once we get into the relationship we see them. But usually there are some red flags. Was I intentionally overlooking the red flags? Do I get so enamored by the newness of love that I'm not willing to look at the other side of the coin, right? So be willing to examine what is it about me that I'm unwilling or unable to see some of those red flags early on in a relationship.
Yeah, and even asking the question, what attracted me to this person?
Yeah, yes, I was thinking that.
And however you answer that, sometimes you say, well, did we rush into it? I find a lot of times in relationships is we're all hungry for relationships. And so we rush into it. We don't look at those flags that you were talking about, JJ. And when we rush into it, we think we're in love, but we've rushed into it. Even romantically, we've rushed into it. When in fact, there's a man named Dr. Ray Short, who's a professor at the University of Wisconsin on relationships, and he says it takes almost 2 years for someone to know the difference between infatuation and love. Now, I met my wife the very first day. I said, I want to marry that girl. Well, I wanted to marry the beauty and the wonderful personality and all that. I fell in love with her, and it took more time than that, of course. And I think that's the kind of thing, Lisa, that you'll want to look at as well. What drew me to this guy? Is this some kind of not a flaw, but is this something in my own life that I need to look into?
Well, and I think, too, you don't want to swing to the complete opposite side of the spectrum and be hypercritical of a person's every move. So there's a little bit in dating, Lisa, where you need to kind of let it play out a little bit, right? You need to go on some dates. You need to kind of see the person, and maybe, if you like enough to go on a second date, okay, well, how is this person after a sixth date? And just, be aware without being hypercritical. Right.
Is there a willingness on their part to change? If a flaw is showing up in the relationship and you point it out, are they willing to say, you know what, you're right, I don't want to do that, I don't want to treat you that way, I'm going to work on that, right? So we want to look for that, not demand perfection from someone.
Yeah, and we can't demand perfection. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just also say, I want to echo what you both have said, to just applaud. Lisa, thank you so much for your willingness to care about yourself, to walk away, and then your willingness to turn the camera lens on yourself to say, I want to look at my own brokenness here and not just pin it all on the other person. That's an incredible amount of maturity on your part. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely, and I'm giving her the personal growth award for the listener of the day. Personal growth. Because that's a great thing for all of us to do. We need to be able to do that. And we can't, we got talking about dating and relating, but we can't date just for the potential. This is an amazing person. They're going to one day be an amazing person, but then ignore those flags. So we've got to be looking at the flags as well.
Yeah.
Lisa, what do you think?
I gave it my all because actually, like some point during the COVID, you guys had the Intimacy in Marriage conference, and you guys allowed engaged couples to be a part of that, and it was online. And we did that, right? We did like a premarital counseling for 8 weeks with a local counselor, and then we did like a course out of Joel Osteen's ministry. We did one of those. We did a lot, but through it all, I kept seeing the red flags, right? And I've listened to New Life Live for years, probably 20 years of my life. I've listened and I've heard, the advice that you've given others. And that's why I was able to go slow, to go fast and to look for certain things. And we communicated, but it was just, oh, my goodness, I don't know.
Well, actually, you did great things.
Yeah.
And you know what? Premarital counseling and going to intimacy and marriage prior to being married to learn that actually is a really good idea. 1 out of 3 engagements break up, and that's not a bad thing, is what I'm saying. There have been times, people write me and they'll read. Like I said, I wrote a book called Getting Ready for Marriage, and so churches use it. And people will say, you know what, I read this and I decided to break up, and they were kind of like even angry at me, and I was like, no, this is the best news I could hear because you wouldn't have probably done well in it. So you did the right thing. You even get more of an award on personal growth, Lisa. Now I'm even more impressed.
2 trophies.
A double winner.
Yeah. So anyway, appreciate your call, Lisa. And we're going to what's Henry Cloud's dating book? Sounds like a great one.
How to Get a Date Worth Keeping.
Yeah, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping by Dr. Henry Cloud. I really think he takes a look at dating and relating. I read the book. I just couldn't remember the title. And I really think he takes a look at relating from a really healthy view. Henry's a healthy guy, and he writes well. So anyway, we're going to give that book to you, and we appreciate your call, Lisa, and appreciate all of you listeners. You can hear the music, so we're going to take a break. We'll come right back, and more great conversation. So good. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety, is what JJ said. And that's a scripture. And you want to make sure you get the kind of counsel and wisdom. You can go to New Life Live and you can get all kinds of great insight from books and podcasts, so many other things. And we just invite you to come to our website and join one of the intensive. We've got a Every Man's Battle intensive coming up on April 13th, and we're excited about that. So don't go away. We'll be right back, and God bless you.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career, or possibly strengthening your relationships, or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps toward your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Jim Burns here, filling in for Stephen Arterburn, who's on sabbatical, by the way, and Sabbath is a Hebrew word that means to rest. I hope Steve's getting the rest he needs. He's done an incredible job for 35 years here at New Life, and New Life has been a light and been a help for 35 years. And, you know, we were just talking about Henry Cloud, who is a great friend of our ministry and definitely a part of the New Life world. And we're going to do a flashback because there's such a great conversation that Steve and Henry had with a man named Bruce. So let's listen to what their advice is for Bruce.
Hello, Faith from Paris, Texas. Listens to KWRD. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm really glad that you're taking my call. We listen to you a whole lot.
Thank you.
So I had a question about what does God's Word say about parents giving gifts to their grown children?
Parents
we
giving
are
gifts
financially very able to give them things or share with them.
Okay.
And the kids themselves we raised them to not be in debt, and they are financially doing well. But for instance,
how old are they, and are they married?
They're in their early 20s.
Early 20s. Are they married?
Yep. Yeah, they are.
And why do you want to give them gifts?
Well, for instance, we're in a ranch, and we have a steer we're going to butcher.
Oh, send it to me.
And we're really curious, should we charge them just like we would if it was a person that was buying the beef from us?
No.
Or can we, what does God say?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Let me, Steve's got an opinion and then I've got one. So Steve's jumping out of his skin over here.
I mean, you know, it's a steer, and if you're not going to give it to the animal rights barbecue, then you know, don't. Oh my goodness! Why would you not give it to them? Why would you not?
I can think of 10 reasons not to. But go ahead, Faith. What's your kind?
Well, I think I would like to share it with them. I mean, we raised them right. We've given them what they needed when they were growing up. Now they're on their own. I would like to reward them.
Let's just think of what are the chances that you're going to give them a side of beef, and over dinner eating that steak. Somebody says, well, I guess we don't have to work anymore. They're going to feed us the rest of our lives. I don't think so. Okay, but Henry's got more in-depth, real help for you here. So, okay, Henry.
All right, Faith, I'm going to ask a couple of questions.
Yeah.
First of all, are you talking about giving them a steak? Or are you talking about filling their freezer so they don't have to buy food for a year?
It's a big steer.
It's a big steer, right?
We sold half of it.
Exactly.
The other half is
exactly.
for the kids, but my husband would like us
to
have them pay.
They sold it.
But hold on a second, because I got some more questions.
Okay.
All right. Well,
every year I buy about I think it's a third of one of these.
Third.
And fill up a freezer. It's a lot cheaper if you do it that way. And
It is financially. It's
you can get better
good.
stuff, and it relieves you of having to shop for a year. But I'm going to ask you some questions.
All right. I just want to steer people in the right direction. If you'd like to give me a side of beef, I will not. I won't ever say, okay, well, I guess I don't have to work anymore because I'm just going to get a free side of beef.
Okay, Faith. Let me just, since I don't know you and I don't know them, let me give you some examples of when I would not do this.
And just say, okay, yeah, that's us or that's not us.
Okay. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is where Paul says, to the pure, all things are pure. All right? Mm-hmm. So when you're giving somebody a side of beef as a gift, and that's purely what it is, and it doesn't get mixed up. See, impurity is when something gets mixed up with something else.
Right. No, I don't think that's...
Hold on, I'm not even finished yet.
Okay.
Now you got me worried.
Just in the
All right,
I am.
there you go. All right, let me give you 5 or 6 reasons. Okay. First of all, let's say that, for example, somebody early 20s, they're recently married, okay? Mm-hmm. And they are just in the process of setting up their own home and their own budgets and their own ways of doing things. And they've got to really figure out how they're going to make it and figure out how to structure their finances. Right. And in the process of that, all of a sudden a side of beef shows up that takes care of them for the next year. And they don't really have to build that into their budget. And they go, we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so what are we going to do? And they get started down certain practices that really aren't self-sustaining. They've been augmented, and the structure of all of that gets started down a certain path that they don't have to think of. Okay. Number 2, let's say it's so early in the marriage that they just really haven't had a clear sense of separateness to kind of be self-sustained in any way, and just kind of on their own, apart from all the wonderful things that the family has always provided. And it's just kind of a space and doing it on your own issue. Number 3, let's say in a scenario, maybe they are a little slow to get started and be on their own, and they need to feel the crunch in order to motivate them. You know, Proverbs says it's a worker's hunger that drives them to work.
They are hard workers, yeah. Continue.
All right.
You had more.
For example, another one would be maybe there's all sorts of symbolic ways in which the family is kind of too connected, and this is kind of might be one more of those, and they don't feel like they have their own space and independence and this, that, and the other. Okay. There's a lot of things like that. Maybe one of the, I don't know if you said son or daughter. I think you said son.
We have one and one of each.
Maybe the spouses of them want to have a little more clear-cut kind of family of their own, and this is just one more symbol of a good thing.
Holding on to.
And so I don't know. All I'm saying is you have to ask those questions, and if you come out fine with all of those...
I think we would.
Well, then why? Then I'm going to ask my other question. Why was it even a concern?
Well, difference of opinion between the two of us.
Oh, what was the other opinion?
Well, because he said we raised these kids right. They shouldn't. We're done. You know, we don't need to do that anymore. And I would like to just do it to reward them because of being very financially wise with their money all the time. They've been on their own, and both of them have been on their own for a number of years.
How old are they?
24 and 26.
Okay, and you never give them any money?
No, never did. They've always worked for it all the time.
And do you provide anything?
Well, they've been on their own literally even before they were married.
Okay.
Our son was on their own.
And do you provide anything that helps them have a better lifestyle than if you weren't in the picture?
Not really at all.
Do they work for the ranch?
Our son does.
Is he one?
And so we pay him. He actually is a fireman, and he works as a fireman, and then he also works for us on his days off. And so we pay him. He's a hard worker, and both of them are very financially stable. But my husband believes that, and we give much money to charities, but he says they're not a charity. We don't need to give them money. Or, I mean, even a side of beef, you know, that sounds like a small thing, but it's the principle, you know. We raised them right. I would like to see God rewards us when we do things right. I would like to reward our kids in a small way. I mean, this is just a small thing. You know?
I know. I just think you know, there's enough fuzziness between you and your husband about this that I would have some further conversations.
Oh, definitely. But I was wondering, is there any scripture that says, other than like what I said, you know, give good, you know, he says.
Let me tell you the scripture. The scripture is, I think, at least one of them is the created order about marriage, where it says that there's a leaving and a cleaving. And I think, among other things, what the leaving and cleaving means is for sustenance and who people depend on. And if it's not going to interrupt that in any way, then generally it would be an okay thing. But it shouldn't be something that divides you and your husband. You got to get on the same page first.
Great insight from Henry and Steve. That's kind of one of our flashbacks. We're so glad you were with us today. Go to newlife.com if we can help you. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.